I am Griffin Hughes. I've recently completed a world record, 9,000 meters of elevation, 86 kilometers in length, and 37 hours on bare feet. So the record is the most amount of accumulated elevation, barefoot. So the reason why I'm doing this was it popped into my head the first time that I did the Monserrate, the mountain that I did it on. And I thought, you know what? I've got time, I've got energy, fuck it. Let's see what record I can set, which was perfect. I looked it up. I looked up barefoot records, and there was no serious record for barefoot elevation. And I thought, shit, let's go. All right, so the weeks leading up to this event were big weeks, big weeks, and the whole preparation was massive. All up, it took about 3 months of preparation. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the process. It was long hours on the mountain, but I had the time, and it enabled me to listen to so many audiobooks, so many podcasts. Also as well, super thankful. I have my best friend that was there with me training, and also as well another really close friend to me, Jordan, and they surprised me. They surprised me so much throughout the whole lead up training when we're on the mountain. And there was one day there, it was my last big training session before it was taper time, and we did 7 efforts on the mountain, which was huge. It was the most that I had ever done, and they did it with me, and it was incredible. Like to have people come and do this with me, and considering I've been training for 3 months before this, and now these guys come along and start to join in with me and just smash it out of the ballpark. Like, I'm so thankful for that. So the lead up training in that sense was really good, but I had some holes. There were some holes in training that I hadn't had before. Previously, I've done a few other large events. When I was in the military, I went for a selection course, and also as well an Ironman. Both of them, my training was dialed in and pinpointed. This time round, I had too much time, and it sounds stupid, but I did. I utilized my time well, physically, but mentally, there was tiny losses that I had in this training. And these losses came in the way of, I would go up the mountain, I would wake up a little bit late. I would set my alarm for 5 a.m. and I'd get up at 5:30. I would get in the shower and I'd be like, right, I want to be out the door by 7:30. I'd be out the door by 8:30. It was these tiny little losses that don't sound like much. I had the time, right? But not applying myself to these things really didn't pay me any dividends. It did not help me at all. Moving on, the first 2 hours up and down the mountain were slow. They were really slow. My mentality was good, but they were slow. I was still waking up. After that, I perked up. My mentality got good, and it was really good for about 7 or 8 hours until it started to get to dusk. When it started to get to dusk, it depleted. My mentality went terrible. I knew that I had a full night ahead of me, and I had a full another day after that ahead of me, running on 1 hour sleep the night before. It really just got the better of me. And these small losses throughout training, it was just, I constantly had that ticker there in my head that consistently kept saying like, all right, you know, like just quit. You know, you've got this excuse, you've got that excuse, just quit. And this all came from these tiny flaws that I had throughout training. And it sucks. But at that point, I had no choice. Like, what am I going to do now? Like, I'm not going to quit. Well, I can't quit. What am I going to call up my father and be like, hey, I quit, mate. My feet were a bit sore, or you know, post online and tell everyone that's donated to this cause and has supported me, like, oh yeah, I couldn't do it. No, man, fuck that. I'm not doing that. Like, never will I do that. So the thought was there, and it was there the whole time. But the reality of it was I wasn't stopping. But I owe my allegiance to Nate. He was an incredible help. He dragged me out of a lot of deep holes, and from dusk, he really helped. So he perked me up on a lot of sugar. He perked me up on a lot of energy drinks and a lot of caffeine. So that kept me going. That kept me going throughout the night until Vic came with everything that we needed on the mountain. So the police, the ambulance, the actual approval of being on the mountain throughout the night is when Vic came at 8. And I remember it was up and down throughout the day. It was like, yes, it's good, no, it's bad, yes, it's good, no, it's bad. And it finally was a yes, and it was finally a yes, and I went down, and it was at that point where I realized that my mentality was starting to deteriorate because I didn't really understand and get a grasp on the reality of it. My reality was a little bit distorted. So yeah, it was, that was kind of the start. And then throughout the night, it went, my headspace was up and it was down and it was up and down, until about 2 a.m. in the morning, where I hit rock bottom. I hit the floor. I was hallucinating. I was feeling shit. I was feeling so shit. My hallucinations, I was walking along and I had my head torch on, and I'd look down at the ground, and rocks that had certain patterns in them, they would look like faces. They'd kind of look like faces, and I'd look away, and then each puddle and each black spot and shadow looked like a cat. And I saw so many cats. Every time I moved my head torch and there was a little black spot, it was a cat, some different type of cat. And it's a weird thing because the hallucinations aren't necessarily like it's a vivid figure for me. It was, my brain was telling me it was a cat, and then I'd look and it wasn't, right? And that continued on all throughout the night, until it hit about 3:30 in the morning, and I was like, all right, if I'm gonna do another full day, I wanna get a small amount of sleep. So I laid down for 40 minutes and tried to get some rest. No shit, as soon as I laid down, this rooster, man, just would not shut the fuck up. He was going and going. I could have ripped his head off and fucking put him in the ground. Holy shit. So there wasn't much sleep, but it gave my brain a chance to reset. So then when I woke up at 3:30, 4 o'clock-ish, I was okay. I obviously didn't want to get up, but I sat up. I sat there. Nate, the crew, got me a coffee, drank this coffee, and I went to stand up. As I stood up, my head just spun. I didn't know where I was. I sat back down. I was like, holy shit, what's going on? Like, if this is how it's gonna be, how am I gonna do this? I have another full, at least 12 hours ahead of me. I got up, I walked along, my feet were killing me. I was so fucking cold, and I knew I had at least 12 hours ahead. But like anything, you just eat it in small bites, right? Like, how do you eat an elephant? Like, one bite at a time. So just kicked on, step after step after step. My feet slowly went numb again, and everything started to pick back up. The sunrise really boosted my energy. So after that, it was all right. It was good for a few hours. I remember the first time when I got to the top of the mountain. At the top there's a chapel, and inside the chapel there's a statue of Jesus. At the end of every effort up the mountain, I'd touch the chapel and I'd look in, and there would be, and I'd look at the Jesus statue, right? And this time I looked in, and Jesus was moving. It was like he was made out of this gold water and just moving side to side. I looked at it for a second. I'm like, fuck. He hasn't done that before. And I turned around and I was like, well, I don't want to stay here too long. So I turned around, back down the mountain we went, and continued on. So, what I learned from this event was how much the people that were there mean to me. and how much they helped me. That was a massive thing that I learned. It was a bond like nothing else, like a bond that you get on the field when you're playing a hard game of football, like a bond that you get with your crew when you're doing the world record on the mountain. Personally, what I learned is that having suffered before through mental illnesses, it is honestly, you can transfer that into a superpower when you're doing an endurance event. When you suffer in an environment where you feel like you are out of control, like if you have anxiety, depression, any form of mental illness, you suffer in this uncontrollable environment where you don't know how you can get out of it. Then you put yourself in an environment where it's self-inflicted suffer. It hurts. Don't get me wrong, it hurts a lot, but you know how to cope with it. You're in control of this. If I could do it again, what would I change? I would change the small losses that I had throughout my training. I would set my alarm for 5 a.m. and I'd get up at 5 a.m. I would say I'm not gonna eat shit food tonight, and I wouldn't eat shit food tonight. I'd say I'm gonna do 4 efforts on the mountain, I'd do 4 efforts on the mountain. These small losses added up and I felt it on the day. I wouldn't have that happen. I want to give thanks to everybody that was there on the mountain that day. Nate, Vic, Charlotte, the 3 big ones that were there. They helped me so much throughout that day. I want to thank everyone that also helped, that were on the mountain. This being the people that were so lovely, that brought out coffee, that enabled us to use their area, that enabled us to use their equipment, that gave us sugar cubes when we needed them. I want to thank the man behind the camera that's right here at the moment. He has been incredible. I want to thank Jordan Stubbs, who has helped me a lot through not only learning about my body, but also learning about the mind. It has been an incredible help. And also, a big one is Cool to Be Conscious. I want to say a massive thanks to the support that I've gotten from them, and also for helping me 2 years ago and putting me on this path that enabled me to do what I have just done. Thank you.